Hi everyone, and welcome to CACR and our coaching session for this week. For those of you that might be new to this, welcome. And my name is Susan Dentino, and I am going to be your coach, Susan, as we go on this beautiful journey together to become the best CACR that you can become. Each week we're going to be dealing with a different topic and something that I really feel is going to enhance the skills that you already have. So I'm so excited to be here with you. Session 2. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Susan Dentino, and I am a certified angel therapy practitioner. I teach meditation. I am a certified medium, professional spiritual teacher's trainer. I've taken all of the classes that Doreen has to offer. So I'm certified in all of that. Different types of readings and things. I'm also a Reiki master, reconnective healing therapist. I think level 3 is what I finally got to. So there's all these different things I have in my bag of tricks and things that I use when I'm doing my work. I am a published author, and I'm very proud to say that Songs of My Life, Slightly Out of Tune, is published by Hay House. And that's like a humorous approach to all of the things that I've learned throughout my life. Recently, and I'm saddened to say that in October I lost my husband, and he and I had met when I was 15 years old, and it was a very sad thing for me that I'm still getting used to, needless to say. But what that did is also threw me into the business world. So I'm now the CEO of 2 businesses, and I can feel him up there just kind of shaking his head. But what's been great about all of this is that I've been really able to incorporate what I'm learning in that role as well as my metaphysical role to really assist you in doing what it is that you want to do, and that's to start a very successful business. So let's get started. First of all, I'm just back from Harry Potter World, and I'm going to share the wand that I selected with you. I know some of you knew I was going, and we are going to fill this workshop with magic today. And what is the first thing that we're going to be talking about with our magic and with my wand? First of all, wishing all of you the very best day, putting magic in each and every one of your days. But we're going to be talking about your CACR survival kit. Now, what does that mean? Well, last week when I was talking about angel parties, and if you missed that session, it is up on my YouTube station. So just Susan Dentino, Dintino, and you can see what we talked about last week. But it came up that I was thinking that there's things that you really need, tools that you really have to have at your easy access so that you can just not have to think about these things. So what's the first thing? Well, here you are, a certified angel card reader. How would you identify yourself? Say that you've only got a few minutes to describe yourself. And what is known as an elevator speech is a great tool to use and a great tool to have. So that's going to be number 1 of what we're going to put in our CACR survival kit. Now, exactly what is an elevator speech? Well, what it is, in theory, is something that you would say in such a short amount of time, 30 seconds, say, as if you were with somebody in an elevator, and they asked you what it is that you do. Now, one of the things I do want to say is this is where your own intuitive abilities are going to kick in, because there's some people that I'd be in an elevator with, and I would be sharing that I'm now working as far as doing my husband's businesses and overseeing those, but there are other people that I would share my metaphysical business with. So that's what first thing you got to do is key into your own intuitive ability. What is this person looking for that you've just met? And I'm feeling that more and more you're attracting people into your life that are going to really allow you to use these tools that you have. So how would you identify yourself? Well, here's a little couple sentences that I like to use with somebody that's just met me. Now, as I said, I teach workshops, and I've trademarked a technique called empowering meditation, and it's one of the workshops that I teach. So what I might say in an elevator is, hello, my name is Susan Dentino, and I teach workshops in empowering meditation. It's a technique that I have trademarked that will assist you in manifesting your dreams and changing limiting beliefs. The elevator doors open and the person leaves. Now, prior to that person leaving, I would have my business card handy. We're going to be talking about that in a minute. But what you want to do in this very brief introduction is you want to have them asking for more. What is she talking about? Manifesting my dreams, changing limiting beliefs. What does that believe? What does that mean? Well, those doors have closed, so they can't ask me any more questions. But what I have done is left the person with wanting more, and that's your goal. They've got your business card, so they know how to get a hold of you. So first thing you're going to do is put together your elevator speech, and it might even be something you might want to use, like your smartphone, to practice and talking about it and how you're going to really represent yourself. If you're somebody that, again, has a healing practice as well as doing the CACR readings, you're going to want to incorporate that in your elevator speech and talk a little bit about all of your various talents and the things that you can bring to the table. So that's something that you want to really investigate as well. So you've got your introduction, and now people know that you're a certified angel card reader in whatever way that you want to identify yourself. And they're going to be saying, okay, how can I find out more about this person? Well, that's when you're going to have your business cards ready. I said this last week, and I'm going to emphasize this again. Having business cards is one of the most powerful tools that you can have. And there's very affordable ways to do it. Okay, I mentioned Vistaprint last week, and that's VISTAPRINT.com. They will give you X amount of cards for free if you use one of their templates. Of course, there's shipping and handling involved. And what I will tell you is I've always chosen the slowest way of shipping, and they get there in a timely manner. So even though it might act like they're putting them on camels to cross the world, believe me when I tell you, you don't have to pay any extra for your shipping than their lowest price. So Vistaprint, great work. I've worked with them a lot. There's also Zazzle, ZAZZLE.com. Again, will offer you this opportunity to get cards and maybe, help you design a logo. They do all types of things, as Vistaprint does as well. And the reason I'm giving you these different options is because sometimes people find something that they're more interested in, that resonate more with them. So I want to make sure that you have options when you're looking at this. There's also MOO.com. And what's interesting about them is their cards are a little bit of a different shape. There's different things that you can do. Now, the last time I checked, they didn't have as many of the free options as somebody like Vistaprint has, but you've still got that ability to print your own cards and make them be very unique. If you're really on a strict budget, you can always print your own. There's templates available. You get a nice, strong cardstock paper and print your own to begin with. Say you're going somewhere and you know you're going to meet people and you don't have an opportunity to get those cards ordered. Print your own. Just do it quickly. Like I said, you got some good cardstock. You can get different colors, anything that suits you. But that's an essential thing. You've got your elevator speech, and now you've got your business cards. Now, what are you going to put on these cards? Well, now this all is really very much up to you. We're going to be talking as these weeks progress about having Facebook pages, about having websites. So right now we're just scratching the surface of all of the topics that we're going to be covering. But obviously on this business card, you want to have your name. What are you going to be really doing with your readings? Are you going to be doing healing work in addition to the CACR readings? What is it that you want to really have people see in that card and know that this is exactly what you do? So what you're going to want to do, again, this is going to take a little bit of thinking before you put that print on. Your name, and then how are you going to identify yourself? Going back to that elevator speech, I actually have different cards. Now, that brief elevator speech I gave you would have been someplace that maybe I was going, meeting somebody that was looking for me to teach empowering meditation. So that would be my elevator speech. And what I have is a set of cards that has my empowering meditation logo right on the back of the card. So I'll have that, and on the front of the card will be my name, and I don't put phone numbers on my cards. Now again, that's up to you. I just have an email address where they can reach me, and I find that that's the best thing to do. If you do have a Facebook page, you can always use that, and people can message you via Facebook, but for me, I put an email address. So you can have that. I have business cards with my book cover on them, and then I'll have how people can order the book. So again, I know that this seems like a lot. I'm just giving you all the different options because I think it's really important when you're beginning this to really think about what it is that you personally want to emphasize. So I'm going to take a moment to just pause here, and I'm going to look quickly. Let's see how fogged up my glasses are as we've got the humidity here in Florida. And thank you, Monica. She just said to print your own, you can go to www.avery.com. Let's see if I can see any questions right here. Let's see what we've got, if there's anything. And one thing I know that I wanted to tell everybody is that, is that I don't do readings during these sessions. To me, this is all about really answering questions that you might have about the subject that we're talking about. This coming Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be having a fabulous new moon. And every new moon and full moon, I do all the information that I think you could really use to really benefit from that energy. During those sessions, I do mini readings. So if you really want a mini reading, check that out. It'll be Facebook Live, 7 p.m. on this Monday, New Moon Energy. And then every Tuesday on my radio show, The Night Shift, which is on www.w4cy.com. Radio, I do mini readings. There's always a subject of the evening, and then I do mini readings as well. So that's, I've devoted. This is all about you and really, really assisting you in getting your business going. So there we go. Let's just see. Okay, there's a question from Carolina. What do you do when people don't like what you tell them? You know, this is all about you coming out of your kind of metaphysical closet. And this is where I think you are going to run into people that as you identify yourself as a reader, there are people that object to that whole idea. Again, have a graceful exit, just like you've got your elevator speech ready. Have a graceful exit to know to change the subject and just move on. You can't worry about trying to change somebody's mind. That I will highly advise against. All you can really do now is speak to people, and you have to believe and set your intention. Remember how important that is. And we're going to be talking about that next week. We're going to be getting back, maybe doing a little bit of review of really when you're doing a reading, setting your intentions that the right clients are coming to you, the protection techniques you can do, the cutting your cords. But the big thing I want to remind you is that you're not going to change somebody's mind if for religious beliefs or whatever they might have as far as thought processes go, they might find that what you're doing doesn't resonate with them. Then you know what? That you let them go with love and light. You're not going to try and change their mind because chances are you're not going to be successful. I'll share a little story with you. I was teaching a workshop at a senior citizen center where I was introducing the seniors to meeting their guardian angel. And oh my gosh, they were so excited about doing this. And I started taking questions before we were going into the meditation. And a woman raised her hand and started asking about the fallen angels, Lucifer, all this. Taking my little talk all the way to the other extreme. Well, I'm going to be honest with you, I was not prepared for that. And what happened was I started getting into a conversation with this woman that was pulling everybody away from the topic at hand and the importance of focusing on guardian angels. And she had a strong belief about fallen angels and looking at all of these things, and I shouldn't have allowed myself to get engaged. That was the big takeaway. And what I could have done is said, why don't we talk about that after if you would like to discuss it, but right now let's meet our guardian angels. Because so much time got wound up that was not accessible to me again. I was a limited time, and you could see these cute little people all ready to meet their wonderful guardian angels, and we were being taken down that path. So that was a very valuable lesson for me. And if I find, like I said, if I put on my CEO hat, and sometimes things will come up where a metaphysical subject will come up, I will trust my guidance as to how much to share with who. So, good question. Let's see, do you know about signing up with psychic services? And I'm assuming you're talking about online services. I am familiar with those, and we are going to be discussing that in future weeks. And each week on the CACR page, I'm going to be posting little memes. I'm doing 2 a week where it kind of gives you some, inspirational little sayings. Post under there, or when I post the subject, some of the subjects you'd like to see me talk about. That is definitely something that we are going to be talking about in the future. I am familiar with some of the psychic services out there that you can get started with. So we will be talking about that. So, okay. All right, I want to have my business out of my home, but I am feeling that I should rent a location because of any other people's energies. Great point, and you just flipped up. I think it was awakening, so I'm going to call you awakening. That is a great point. I can tell you I have done readings out of my home. I have done readings at metaphysical stores and locations. One thing about doing readings out of your home is bringing that energy into your home. And I have found that there's select people now that I do readings for out of my home. I've also taught out of my home. I think it's a very individual thing. And what I will say, if you are somebody that is on a budget and aren't able to rent space, then doing readings out of your home is certainly a viable option. That being said, I think that there's many stores that you can go to, and if you talk to them, sometimes you might have to do a mini reading for the owner. It's basically how I'm working right now with a couple stores here in this area. I did a mini reading, she said fine, and we do a 60-40 split where I get 60, she gets 40, and when there's an office open, I'll go and work out of her store. So right now I'm the most comfortable doing that. I do have a couple regular clients that come to my home, but I find that for me, I prefer to keep my home, and my workspace separate. It just, again, keeps it to my liking, but there's no reason why, if it's something you're comfortable doing, that you can't do that. Okay, so now we talked about having our elevator speech, and that is something too that you might want to practice on the CACR page. Just defining and explaining who you are in 30 seconds or less. Okay, now we talked about business cards and all the different places that you can go to get business cards. I really want to see that because it's so important. Now we're going to talk about a menu. All right, you're going to have a beautiful menu, and this is something too that you can have printed, or you can write very fancy and just print those yourself. But what services are you going to offer? What is it that you want to do? Do you like to do readings? Do you like to do mediumship? Do you like to do healing with your readings? What is it that you're going to do? Do you like to do phone readings? Do you do in-person readings? So you create a menu of services just as if you're going to a spa. And what you're going to do when you're doing it is decide again, what is your practice going to look like? What is it that you want to do? Like I say, I do some healing work, but primarily what I do is readings. But there will be times that people will reach out to me and I'll do healing and then do that as well. But keep in mind, I've been doing this for a long time. So most people now that I come in contact with pretty much know what I do. So it's not necessary for me to explain it. It's usually word of mouth. They see my Facebook page. They know what I do. Okay. For you that are just starting, you've got to let people know what you do. So what you want to do is decide what services you want. And there's no reason why you can't do all of the above, in-person readings, phone readings, email readings, whatever, you really feel you're being called to do. Now, that being said, the next question is how to charge. And I will tell you that is a very individual thing. The one thing I will say, though, is you should definitely charge and be paid for exactly what it is that you do. Just because we're doing metaphysical work and we're being of service does not mean we should not be compensated. It's all about keeping things in balance. So again, when you're starting out, you might find that you're being guided to charge a little bit less. Maybe doing a 15-minute reading for, say, $25, $20, something like that. Now, we're going to talk about that timer and bring this into this discussion, which is also a part of your survival kit. And we talked about this last week. It can be your phone, but I prefer a designated timer just for this. I find it beneficial not only when I am doing my in-person readings, but also when I'm doing my phone readings and I am doing my email readings, because sometimes what will happen is I'll get all caught up in the answer. And even though like you're maybe offering a one-question email reading, right? And you find that one thing leads to another, you want to just make sure that your time is being checked and your time is really not, what's the best way to put this? That you're not doing more time than you're being compensated for. And I know that it might seem like I'm really heavily talking about being compensated. It's because I really find that with people that are new in this business, being compensated can be a bit of a challenge. So as I'm speaking of that, I'm waving my special wand and saying, you make sure that you allow yourself to be compensated. Even in the beginning, if you've got a friend that does massages and wants a reading and you want to do a barter thing, there's no reason why you can't do that. But it's very important that you allow yourself to be compensated. Now, if you've got some friends that are in the business and that are doing work, have their websites all set up, check out their pricing. How are they pricing? Obviously, the more well-known and the more experienced you are, you know, when you look at some of the big teachers that are doing readings, they can be very costly, and we wouldn't expect those of us that are not of that caliber to be getting, you know, $500-$600 an hour. But again, that's something that you can certainly attain in the future. But I would say be practical for what it is and where you are experience-wise. So you've got your menu, and again, this can be something lovely. They offer free postcards at many places. Design your own postcards. This can be something very lovely that you just have out. And say you're doing one of those angel parties that we talked about last week. This would be something that you would want to have in writing and have out, so that if people say to you, well, what about a private reading? I'd like to go into a little bit more depth, then you would have all of this available. And again, as you can see, everything that we're talking about today is going to take some thought. It's going to take some planning. I know one of you posted in the comments as I was going through quickly that you're an organizer, you're a planner. And really, when you're starting out, it's essential that you are. I know some of you it comes easier, others not so much. I know personally with me, I can be very fragmented, that I'll be starting this and starting that, and so that I'm not getting any one thing done. But when you are doing this, being organized is essential. That's going to be the next thing that I'm going to recommend. Some type of an appointment book, okay? This is going to go into your CACR kit as well. Now, I know many people use their phones as their appointment reminders, and it really works for them. For me, I have to write it. I usually do put it on my phone as well, but I'll also write it down, so that really seems to give me a better feel of what it is that I have to remember. So some type of an appointment book, so that, again, this could even be like, I have a bag that I just, you know, when I'm going to places, I've got a bag, and I keep these things, certain things in that bag at all times. And so again, all of these things that you've got, you can always make sure you've got business cards with you. Always make sure you know your elevator speech. Maybe your menu of services you're not going to carry around with you all the time, but you want them easily accessible, and maybe get the person's email address and be able to email them. But again, keeping all of this stuff together, it's like your treasure chest. This is the treasure that you're offering out to everybody. So just keep that in mind as you're doing all of this, is how you're going to approach this. What's going to be your business model? Because that's really what we're talking about. Whatever your name is, Josephine Jones, CACR, what does your business model look like? And this business model can all be really kept very much together in this little box that we're creating. So, for those of you that might have just joined me, let me just reintroduce myself. My name is Susan Dentino, and we're doing some CACR coaching this afternoon. I am going to try and keep this time consistent. I do travel, but next week I will be here Saturday, 12 noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. And again, right now, as I'm talking to you about all the different things that I do, I really am well acquainted with where you are right now and getting your business off the ground. Because I think for all of us that are in this realm, it's not a business. We look at it as a passion. We're so called to do this work. And I think because our calling can be so strong, we lose sight that we do need these fundamentals so that what we're doing makes sense. Let me just check really quickly and see. Yes, my new Moon Live will be on my Facebook page, and I have a fan page on Facebook. It's Susan Dentino, public figure. So I know many of you reached out to me after last week, becoming friends, which is great, but really all of my blogs, all of my memes, all my Facebook Live originates on my fan page. So it would be great if you go over there and like that page, and then you'll get that information and, just be able to do it. So with the new moon broadcast, what I do is I tell you what sign the new moon is. We always know new moon is about manifesting, setting an intention. So right now, with everything that you're doing, really utilizing that energy will be great. So I tell you a good crystal to use with the energy, an essence, some type of aromatherapy. I always pull a card, an angel card, to get us going. So it's really an interesting time together. And then I do put that up as well. If you want to see one, the full moon was the last one I did. It's also on my page, my YouTube page. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so Lucia is saying, yes, I have planners for each service I do, including home matters, and one agenda where I put schedule of where I need to be present. Perfect, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I have to say that for some reason, planners are something that every time I'm somewhere at the beginning of the year, I tend to buy more than one, which is a big mistake. I've really curbed that, because then I write things in one, I put it in my phone in another. Just make sure if you're going to do all of this that you have one planner that you put everything in, and that's what I've done this year. It hadn't happened to me in such a long time, and somebody had been recommended to me for a reading. I had it in my phone. I had not written it down, and the day before I was thinking about it. What is it that I'm going to do? And that day, the reading was supposed to be at 6 Eastern, and that day I'm looking at the clock at 7, and I go, oh my gosh, I don't believe I totally forgot that reading. And see, had I written it down and had it in my planner that sits on my desk, it was a good lesson for me, because it happened last year. So I really learned 2017, everything in one planner. So that really is a great tool to use. And see, Wendy is saying the plan don't work for me. Well, you know what? That's fine too, because there's nothing more important than to remember that this is all about you. Everything that we talk about, the angel parties, now we're talking about putting together a kit. This so has to do with what makes you comfortable. Whether you want to work out of an office, whether you want to work out of your home. See, that's the beauty of this, because essentially you're in business for yourself. So this should make you want to jump out of bed, enjoy each and every day, because you're so happy to be doing what you're doing. And I know many of you, now that I just got out of Harry Potter world, are in the Muggle world as well, and have to have your feet in the Muggle world as well as in the metaphysical world. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, because each and every day you're in the Muggle world, your light is helping that person next to you. Whether they buy into what you do or not, that doesn't matter. Your light touches each and every person that you meet. So I know sometimes, because you've got a great job and you're not really ready to go full time in this as a big money earner or a way to support yourself, that's fine, because it is so much about what works for you. It's all about you. If you take nothing else away from these little sessions we're going to be doing, just remember that it's all about you. Yeah, Donna asking me. Yeah, Donna's saying that was a harsh lesson. Yes, it was. And I felt terrible, because I had come also highly recommended from a friend, and that I did that. Yes, there are times I work out of the home. When I do my phone readings, this is a little bit of a side trick. What I do with phone readings is I have a Skype account, and my Skype account I can call out. I prefer to do my phone readings in that way. First of all, I can use my headset, and I know you can do that on a cell phone or whatever, but I like to use my Skype account to do that. I use my headset, and I'll call people at whatever number they give them. They don't have to have Skype. I can call them on their home phones. What I like about that is that then they do not have my phone number. And that, to me, is a personal preference. So I have that Skype account where every month I pay X. It's inexpensive. I don't know what it is now, but it was only a couple bucks when I signed up for it. The other beauty of Skype is you can offer video readings. And then the other person does have to have a Skype account. But what you can do is a video reading for people that might not be able to meet you in person, but they do want to, have that type of contact. You can do a video reading with Skype. But again, as I said, doing that, and some people are not tech savvy and they get all intimidated, that's great. But that can be on your menu of services. I charge a little bit more when I do a video reading. So that is something that you can offer as well. But as far as personally, when I do, there's ways if you have to use a landline that you can block your number from being seen. But sometimes you run into issues with that because then the phone number you're calling doesn't accept these blocked numbers. So these are all things that can create some issues. Again, the one thing too that is important is that you want to be very professional. Again, the little example I gave you, missing this appointment, sure wasn't professional. But that being said, she had paid for a 15-minute appointment. I doubled the time free, and I apologized profusely. Now, it could have been enough for me to lose a client. I wouldn't have blamed her. You're waiting for a reading, you get excited, and then you have totally missed it. But there are things that you can do to compensate it. And then, like I said, lesson learned, and it's just something that you make sure doesn't happen to you again. Okay, so let me see what else we have going here. Yeah, and Wendy's saying that she asked for an offering. Okay, and Bradley is saying $2.95 a month for Skype, and I believe that's what I pay. So if it might not have gone up. Okay, so here we're talking about ethics. If you do a reading for someone and later on you are still getting messages from them weeks later, is it unethical to recontact them with additional info? It happens to me a lot. That's a good question, Georgia. I think what you need to do, and again, see, this is what I mean about your own accessibility and how accessible you want to be to your client after a reading. It all depends on how much they're expanding on what it is that you've told them. Okay, because this can take on a life of its own and be like a whole additional reading. Now, if you have given them enough information, and again, this is, I know, a personal thing, but if you told them everything that you were really getting at the time, and you're comfortable maybe elaborating on the information that you gave them, then I would say it was okay. But if this starts seeming like this turns into a whole separate reading, so you're not elaborating on what you said, but what you are doing is giving them like much more information than they were originally getting, then that's where you're going to have to say, I would be happy to do another reading for you, and maybe we can get into this in more detail. If you're doing 15-minute readings, obviously they're better than like the mini readings like I will do for free on a show or something like that. They're more in depth. But really, in my opinion, to really get a reading that is, in depth, you need 30 to 45 minutes. Anything less than that, it's really hard to get into too much detail, especially depending how you do your readings, how many cards you use. Getting to that psychic website question about getting involved in that, I got super fast when I was working on that. I didn't even use cards because people were paying by the minute. and I just would get really quick answers for them because that was the way I did it. Now, I know some of the colleagues I was working with didn't necessarily feel that way, but to me, if somebody was paying by the minute, I wanted to make sure. So those were very quick readings. I had to relearn doing my phone readings after that because I just was moving so quickly that there were times that my clients were asking me to slow down. So I would say if it starts getting to be too detailed, too much in the other direction, then what you really need to do is encourage them to get another reading. You have to be careful that, again, because you could be doing hours of reading based on one 15-minute reading. So I would say that if it's happening to you a lot, what you might want to gently suggest is that these people get longer readings, that you'll be able to get in more depth. And that's going back to those menus of services. Make sure that you're explicit in what it is that the client's expectation is, what the client's expectation is that you're going to be fulfilling. Make sure that you're clear, that, in 30 minutes you can pretty much get to, just so many questions and so many answers. So, okay, let me see what we've got here. Okay, Georgia, so we got that. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying, okay, Georgia, because maybe I was reading that quickly. If you are still getting messages for those people, this to me is an unsolicited reading, okay? You might have a way to put in a follow-up thank you note or something like that. I think you have to be careful with that because what can happen is the client can think that you're just kind of scouting around to do more of a reading. I'm sorry, I misunderstood that. But it was still a good answer for those people that might have had it. But yeah, I think that when you get additional information, there's a thing out called unsolicited readings that we really like to avoid because I know there's times I meet my daughter's friends who know what I do and they're so afraid I'm reading all their deepest, darkest secrets. And I always tell them, it doesn't work that way. I'm not looking into your heart and soul and trying to, read you. Again, unsolicited readings are something that really we have to be cautious of. So I would say to reach out to somebody and say you've got an additional message with them. I would tread very lightly with that. I would tread lightly. I think that would be something that maybe if you wanted to send a brief email, but I think, again, that would be, I see why you've got concerns. Personally, if it was me, I would not reach out. What I would do is just send out an intention and a prayer that maybe that person comes back to me, unless it's something that you just feel this person has to know. But I think you've got to be really careful with that. Okay, explain that. I'm not exactly sure. Brenda, as I said, I am not doing mini readings. I will send blessings of love and light to your oldest daughter. So, again, tune in to New Moon and maybe we can catch you there or my radio show. Okay, an unsolicited reading is a reading that is not solicited. No, I'm not going to say that, okay? It's a reading that is not asked for. So in other words, just like I was saying, say that all my daughter's friends are over the house and all of a sudden I start giving this girl a reading, one of my daughter's friends, a readings about how bad this gentleman is that she's with right now and that I'm getting all of this information and I would be giving it to her and she has not come and asked me for a reading. We do readings for people that come and ask us for readings, okay? In some way, somehow, they contact us and they say, we would like a reading. I would like a reading with you. I would like a phone reading. I would like an email reading. I would like a reading with you. If, again, something else, like every once in a while, you'll see that, oh my gosh, it just flew out of me. That medium that has the big hair. Teresa Caputo, I believe her name is. Sometimes you'll see her going around and she does unsolicited readings in that she'll come up to somebody in a store and say something. But if I am positive that she might do this on the show and we see it after, but that being said, I'm sure that she had to get permission from everybody before that went on the air. So that would be an example of an unsolicited reading, that you just go up and talk to somebody at random. They did not ask for a reading and you're giving them a reading. I think sometimes we get so excited when we start getting information that we could have the idea that this is something we should be doing. And again, remember the free will concept. If this person is not asking for a reading and you just decide to give them one, that's violating their free will. So unsolicited reading is when a person is not asking for a reading and you just give it to them anyways. Okay? So that's really, in our world, a no-no. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Yeah, Diane, I believe, is saying she only does readings with their yeah. Okay, yes, Diane says she only always does this, asks permission, right, okay. Now, Erin, yes, you know what, we'll talk about this because this is very, very important, and I was going to devote we were going to talk about this next week, and I will go into this more next week, but this is really a valuable question about cutting cords. Cutting cords, protection techniques. Maybe, you know what, these should go into your CACR survival kit, this whole idea. And I use a selenite wand. I'm just going to turn around. I probably shouldn't have done that because now I'm not going to be looking. I hope I'm still making eye contact with you. But anyways, I have a selenite wand that I use to cut cords in between readings. Even when I'm doing angel parties and the readings are coming one right after another, what I would do is cut my cords in between each reading. The thought being that each time you do a client, you're creating an energetic cord between yourself and that client, so that before your next client comes, or even if you're going out to do your daily activities, you want to cut those cords. They're energy zappers, okay? And what that means is that client goes off to do their own thing, and they're taking that cord and they're drawing from your energy, and if by some chance they're not having a great day, then all of a sudden you're finding yourself with, their kind of maybe unhappiness, and it's taking away from your energy. Cutting cords is essential between each and every reading. And again, like I said, I use a selenite wand, but it's as simple as this. I release you with love and light. And cutting the cords, I just do like karate chops down my body, especially at angel parties where I wasn't really taking the time. I release you with love and light. I release you with love and light. You don't really want to be doing it in front of your client. You want to wait for your client to leave. But you just kind of do this. Release them with love and light. And yes, cutting cords essential between each and every reading, even if you're doing it on the phone, even if you're doing it in an email reading. Any type of reading you do, cutting cords essential. Okay. Yeah, see, great example. You need to be careful with unsolicited readings. Does your mom know you're pregnant? And, there you go, okay? And obviously the girl wasn't showing, and this was just a hit you got. I was actually out to lunch with somebody whose was expecting their grandchild. And this was totally like talking to this woman, again, actually I was with a group of people. And I said, a little boy. And it was out of my mouth before I knew it. That was an unsolicited reading. They did not know the sex of the baby. And I said, listen, I'm not doing that. These people know what I do. And they thought, and I'm not even sure that was like a real kind of a reading. But right away, oh, no, isn't that great? You're having a little grandson. And there was no intention there. That could have just been strictly like just something that came out of my mouth from any place other than intuitiveness. But right away it went to that. So yeah, seeing somebody pregnant or the sex of a baby, because often people will choose not to do that. And I have been with people that have been very pregnant and gotten really strong hits as to what the child was. And just like by a mistake saying, oh, when is she due? Something like that. That would be unsolicited, and that would be something you'd have to be cautious about. Yeah, Maria's talking, really making a great point about expanding the reading. And I think that's why these timers are so important. And the biggest lesson I learned with the timer is to set it a couple minutes earlier than the reading. So again, if you were doing a 30-minute reading, you would set your timer for 27 minutes. I found that it even gave me permission, because then I was able to finish it up. I mean, when we worked on, when we all work together doing like angel therapy or angel intuitive, and we're working on staff, there were some staff members that would not use timers. And oh my gosh, I would just see these people going over, because it is difficult not to go over, because you're telling somebody something we want to give extra. I think that's who we are. We're such givers that we want to give as much as we can. It's very natural, but I'm telling you, if you're doing a lot of readings, you're going to find that that's going to give you burnout. And again, you're not replenishing that energy. So I would highly suggest that you use a timer and just get used to it. It's like anything. You will get used to staying on time with that. Okay, let me just see if we've got anything else here. Okay. I think we've kind of I've pretty much touched on quite a few of these answers. So again, for those of you that might be just joining, let's recap what we've talked about. So what we've talked about today, oh wait, here's something that's pinned. Okay, how can we be aware of burnout? Okay. I'll tell you again, I know I keep referring to these angel parties, but it's because of what we talked about last week. And I think that'll give you the best example of getting burned out. Or if you work a psychic fair, that's another thing. And that is another, I got to jot that down, because we will talk about psychic fairs and working those. When you're doing one reading on top of the other, you will definitely feel yourself really getting drained. Because again, you're giving. You're giving the reading. You're pushing everything out. And nothing, even though you're collecting money for these readings, strictly speaking, you're not really getting that energy back when you're doing them one right on top of the other. What I'll do is I'll have a certain essential oil that I use. I always I have a great technique that I use for protection, and I'll get into it in more detail. I don't think the meditation is up anymore on my website. I'll have to check it out. But anyways, your auric field should always be 3 feet around you, okay? And we always want it so that if we put our hands straight out to our side, I'm probably going off the screen here, but it's like we can feel it. You can feel that little bit of pressure. You always want it to be there. If you're feeling all tight, it's the aura's in too close. If you're feeling scattered, not grounded, aura is everywhere. And you know what? Grounding is another thing that's really important, which we'll jump to. But anyways, do whatever you need to do to protect yourself energetically in that beautiful auric energy field that we have that automatically protects us. Just keep in mind that we can really set like angels around us. The technique that I use is to put a flower in front, and it's a rose. I put a rose in front of my auric field. I make sure I'm grounded, okay? Roots growing out of the bottom of our feet. I could be with you guys all day talking about this stuff. So anyways, I will get into more detail. But anyways, grounding before your readings is also important. So you want to make sure you've got beautiful roots growing from the bottom of your feet deep into Mother Earth. I always secure my roots around a beautiful crystal. And then I usually bring energy up through those roots. And they can be the color can be any color. I find if healing's going on, I'll bring green, whatever. We will talk about this in more detail. So now we've got ourselves grounded, okay? We've got our aura where it's supposed to be. Then you take a rose and you put it in front of your auric field. The rose can be opened or closed. It can be any color. It can be loud. large or small. So now just doing this right now with all of you as an example, the rose that I'm visualizing, because obviously this is all visualization, is a beautiful yellow color and it's wide open. So what that means to me is today's so much about being in my power, being comfortable that I'm in my power, and being very protected while I'm in my power. This is why this yellow rose is huge, and right away this comes to my mind. So see, even doing something like this, I'm protecting myself energetically. So when you do any reading, you set your intention, you want your cards to be, and we'll get into this in detail. That's going to be my subject next week. We'll get into real detail about protecting, cutting cords, clearing your cards, clients that might be, less than stellar, how you deal with toxic people that are coming into your energy. We'll talk about all of that next week. That'll be our subject. But for you now that are just getting out there and thinking about it, that's basically what you want to do. And it really does work. I find that whatever color goes in front of me, like sometimes when I'm traveling, I'll get a red rose and it'll be closed because I'll find that I'm going someplace. I might be flying where I'm going to be more inward. Red is the root, so it's making me feel very confident and secure. I always kind of correlate my colors of my flowers to the chakras. I'm way into those. So red, when I see red, I know it's talking about my root. So keep all of that in mind, and we are going to go into detail about preparing to do your readings, how to protect yourself during your readings, a little bit about oracle cards, how you pick decks. We'll talk about all of that next week. And I think, we're just about at time here. Okay, let's see. Okay. Yes, Sarah, and I'd be happy to. Okay, so to conclude, first of all, last week we talked about angel parties. And this is Susan Dentino if you just tuned in. So angel parties, you can find out all about how to get clients, how to do those parties over on YouTube. Today we're talking about our certified angel card reader survival kit. Okay, so what's the first thing? An elevator speech where you're going to create in 30 seconds or less how you would introduce yourself, and do it in such a way that the person walking away from you wants more. They want more. Hi, my name is Susan Dentino, and I teach empowering meditation, which is a technique that I have trademarked that assists you in manifesting your dreams and changing limiting beliefs. Here's my business card. Okay? Now I'm hoping that that's going to pique their interest, that they're going to want to say, wow, what does that mean? Maybe they don't know what limiting beliefs are. Okay, so that's an example of that. Then what you're going to do is research where you get the most cost-effective business cards. What are you going to put on that business card? That's, again, very important. What are your sessions going to look like? Again, maybe you have, when I first started this, but then it got crazy because I had too many things going. I had a specific phone that I just used for my work, and then I had my phone number on my card. Now I don't. I just use my email address. I refer people to my Facebook page, and they can message me as well. So what do you want to put on your card? How do you want to identify yourself? I would highly suggest that it's Certified Angel Card Reader versus CACR, because most people aren't going to know what that stands for. And you want to say, and see, that could be your elevator speech, because somebody's going to want to know, what is a CACR? You can definitely incorporate that if you're going to be doing healing. So again, this is all going to take thought and time. Next, you have a menu of services. What is it that you're going to be offering, and what is it that you're going to be charging? And have that all set for you as well. Okay? Can get that printed out if you'd like, but even if you do it yourself and go someplace, maybe in a New Age store or whatever, but know what you want to do. And again, if you're not somebody, and I'm going to share this with you, not that long ago somebody reached out to me to do a mediumship reading, and I am certified in mediumship. However, I do know people that I feel are better at it, and this woman really wanted a good mediumship reading, so I referred her out. If somebody comes to you and is looking for something that's not a specialty, something you're not especially comfortable doing, don't be afraid to refer them out. You're going to find that person is going to come back and either ask for the type of reading you enjoy doing, come to one of your classes, again, these ethic questions are great because it's so much about your own integrity and about what it is that you do. Okay, so a list of services and what is it that you would like to do. Some type of a timer to keep yourself in time for your readings. No matter what kind of readings you're doing, keep yourself in time with them. So I advise one of those timers. Again, like I said, you can set a timer on the phone. Remember when you're doing your timer, 15-minute reading, set it at 13 minutes, 30-minute reading, set it at 27, a 60-minute reading, set it at 57 or maybe even 55 or something. So you know when to start winding down. Okay? Some type of an appointment calendar that becomes your Bible. That before you commit to anything, you check that out and make sure. And then have some type of reminders tied into that. If you're putting it on your phone, have a reminder coming in. Or each day, look at that timer and look at your planning book and see what you have the day before. Look at it. Now I have mine open right on my desk here. And see, this is it. Now I don't, well, I probably should show this because I have nothing written in it and I do have stuff going on. It's because I just got back. So that's why it's blank, but I like this because it's my Yoganandi one. So, I should have my radio show and New Moon and all that written in there. But anyways, you want to make sure you're really clear. I've got a super busy week. Just got back late yesterday from Potter World. So I'm now back in reality. So today I'll catch up with everything, write everything down for the upcoming week. And that is something, too, you might want to do is designate a certain time. Every Sunday, take an hour, look at your week, look at what you have coming up, especially if you are somebody right now that is working in the Muggle world as well as working in the metaphysical world. So that's your CACR kit. And I'll tell you, I actually have a bag that has all these things in it that I take with me if I'm running to the store. I have a couple decks of my favorite cards in there. And again, because I'll have duplicates of some of my cards, and maybe if there's cards that I know I use each and every time, I'll have those decks in there as well. So if you caught part of this broadcast and you want to listen to it as soon as I can, I will get it up on the YouTube station. Again, my name's Susan Dintino, Dintino. I have a website. Actually, yes, I want to tell you about my website, which is susandintino.com. All my services are up there, as well as on the home page is a free meditation for all of you, and it's a heart awakening meditation. And it's just really nice MP3 download, so feel free to download that. Also, my Invocation of the Archangels. Now, that one is for sale, but that is a 9-minute meditation, which is great, and we'll talk about that next week. Great getting ourselves ready for doing our readings. But you can check out my service pages, might give you some ideas as to what it is that you would be looking for. So we are going to get into readings. We will talk about online psychic services as well next week, because we can tie that into what it is you're doing. So let's see. Okay, so yeah, I know there's people that are still asking questions about it, and yes, check out my YouTube station where that is posted. Also, if you're kind of curious as to what goes on in these moon Facebook Lives that I'm doing, they're also on my YouTube station. So you can see, what we talked about in the full moon last month. And with that, I will say that next week we will be talking about all things to do with readings. We'll be talking about clearing. We'll be talking about how to do a reading. And I know you all know how to do them. We're just going to do a little refresher class on that. How to pick out the right oracle cards. And we will talk about online services as well, if you're interested in going that route. So I want to thank you all for joining me. Next week it will be at the same time. It will be Saturday. It'll be April 2nd. I can't believe it. Saturday, April 2nd. And it will be at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And if there are certain subjects you'd like to see covered, please feel free to post them on the CACR page, and I'll be canvassing that, maybe get something up there so it'll be easy for me to kind of look at certain subjects. But thank you so much for joining me. Get your CACR kit together, because you're really going to find that being organized is your best tool as we begin this wonderful process of you becoming the most successful CACR possible. Thank you now. Have a great weekend. And you know what? I am going to swish and swish and wish, swish, swish, wish each and every one of you magic this weekend and a ton of fun. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week.